Welcome. Welcome to service here at the Unitarian Universalist Church of Tucson. My name is Watercolor Golightly, and I am your worship associate today at this all-ages service. Today is Sunday, February 2025. Can you believe it? It's blowing me away, friends. Our community is striving to be as varied as the blooms of the Sonoran Desert. Whoever you are, wherever you've been, we welcome you here. Whoever you are welcome. Whoever you are becoming, you are welcome. We welcome you and we invite you to bring your whole self. The CDC has determined COVID is endemic. There is a lot of things going around right now, friends, and we are a people that believe in science. And so we encourage everyone to stay vaccinated and aware and take care of yourself. We don't require masks here, but we encourage those that feel safer wearing a mask to do so, to protect themselves. If you're not feeling well, we ask that you join us at home. Hi, people at home. Our AV team makes that possible, and it's a great resource. Yay, AV team. There are gender-specific bathrooms out those glass doors right there. There is an all-gender bathroom behind the AV desk. There's also all-gender bathrooms across the hall and through the area that we eat, down there. As we worship today, let us remain mindful of those desert people who came first to this place, whose lands were stolen by successive acts of genocide. We honor them. We honor the O'odham. We honor the Yaqui. We honor the Apache. We honor Hohokam, which is the name for all those that were before. We honor many indigenous people, many whose names have been lost, that we will never remember. As we move more deeply into a sacred space of worship, please know that you are indeed welcome here. Whether you walked in, rolled in, skipped in, hopped in, we love you. You are welcome here. Whoever you are on your spiritual journey, wherever your culture or ethnic background that you claim, whomever you love, how you identify your gender, all of those things, in whatever way you choose to express them, you are welcome here. Truly welcome. Thank you.
Good morning. If we haven't yet had the pleasure of meeting, my name is Reverend Bethany Russell Lowe. I serve as lead minister of this congregation alongside my colleague, Reverend Jamelia Omar, to my right, your left. At Andover Newton Theological School, the Christian seminary I attended, there was one question I heard more than any other question in seminary, and it was, where is God in this? It was a question I hadn't heard until I went to seminary, having been raised in a fairly humanist, Unitarian Universalist congregation and household. And I found it odd at first, to be honest with you. But I noticed how that question, where is God in this, would make my Christian seminary classmates pause, take a deep breath, and really dig deep for an answer. Where is God in this? I learned to interpret the question my own way, to silently translate however I needed to that day, and found my way to that posture the question gave my classmates. So we're going to talk about different concepts of and cultural interpretation of gods, and yes, capital G, God, today. And we invite all present to reflect with those around you the questions that we will offer to you from the stories we'll share. But to start, to put some of you at a little more ease, I want to offer some perspective, some container for the type of God, the spirit of God we are talking about today. These words are from my colleague, Reverend Gretchen Haley, called God Runs Late for Church. So be at ease, friends. Today, God is running late, trying to find their seat, scanning the room for someone they know or someone they don't. God's feeling evangelical, but not in a judgy way. Mysterious, but not manipulative. God can't stop thinking about the families being separated, the jobs being lost, the institutions being gutted, and the possibility that things could get a lot worse before they get better, which God might have guessed. God is tired. Tired of grief, tired of white supremacy, tired of the warming of the oceans. Not to mention, they usually watch the service on YouTube. Hello, friends on YouTube. And it's a little cold in here this morning. Is that new HVAC even working, God wonders? And of course, we're all like that. No kidding, right? God, can't you do something about that? But God's hearing aid batteries ran out. And they haven't had time to order more. Or that's what they say when asked and can really hear the question. But really, that last emergency room visit maxed out their credit cards. And their partner's been working DoorDash for some extra cash, but it's not enough. And really, God just wants to be present, to stop worrying about everything, to sing, to breathe, to laugh. So we got you, God, we say. We'll settle in. We'll be present. We'll sing. We'll tell stories and breathe deep. We'll remember ourselves and offer whole galaxies of gratitude for all this beauty, for the soon-to-be blooming wildflowers and those Palo Verdes, for mesquite cookies and the U of A men's basketball team, for protest letters and entire villages of people saying, "You are safe here, God. Your creation is not yet done, creating you. Come, let us worship together."
Unitarian Universalism is a covenantal community. A covenant includes agreements about how we treat each other and the values we hold in common. All covenants, including this one, are living documents. Each congregation chooses their own covenant. This is ours. So friends, join us as we say our covenant and as we do our hand motions together. If you don't remember them, and I totally understand why you wouldn't, we will describe them and you can follow Reverend Bethany as we move along. So we will see our words on the screen. I will read the plain font and you will read and move your body to the italics. Are we ready? All right. We, the members, friends, and children of the Unitarian Universalist Church of Tucson, agree to the following covenant. Here we welcome diversity, jazz hands, and rah-rah arms. Together we celebrate you for who you are and support your spiritual choice. Now we got it, good. Jazz hands for figuring it out. Okay, here we recognize the inherent worth and dignity of every person. Hands over heart. Together, we create a trusting and respectful space. Hands behind ears. Bow to one another. Here, we practice conscious reflection and honesty with empathy. Together, we embrace personal growth, tree growing up to the sky, and reaching out to each other. Here, we remember that we are capable of causing harm and of being harmed. Together, heart hands, do your hearts, do your hearts. And we won't forget the heart on our own hearts. Here, we realize our community is stronger when we participate. Hold hands together, or put your hands on someone's shoulder and say, together we work to bring more equity and justice to our church community. We raise our hands high. Let us promise to journey together in truth and compassion. As we light our chalice here in the sanctuary, if you're on YouTube, please light your chalice or candle with us. Thank you.
Before I tell our first story, I want to give a little context. I was at an interfaith immigrant support vigil protest press conference earlier this week. A few of you were there with me. And I'm there in my collar, right? So clearly clergy. And one of the people from Veterans for Peace came up to me in a pretty, relatively aggressive way for a Veterans for Peace person, right? So relatively aggressive, really forceful way, and said, if there's a God, why does God let these things happen? Which felt like the question, right? Whether or not we believe there's a God is the question. And I said more quickly than I anticipated, if there is a God, I don't believe they are all powerful. I think they need us to create change here on earth. If they are there, they're counting on us being here. The man walked away. I don't think it settled anything. But the people around me kind of nodded and said, yeah. Which is to say, in these times of tumult and upheaval, as we approach possible recessions and more crises among crises, all manifest for the benefit of those in power, it is good to take time to root down in our own beliefs, to wrestle there with how we make meaning of this world and us in it. So today, it might feel kind of like a break from some of the direct conversations we're having outside this space. We're inviting you to consider concepts of God, whether for you that is abstract or real or irrelevant, it's all a concept. We are inviting everyone to wrestle through stories and questions with your concept of God, how you make meaning of that in your lives and our world. So we have 3 stories to share this morning. And after each story, we'll ask you to turn to someone near you, hopefully someone you didn't have breakfast with, didn't drive here with, and answer some questions. It could be different people, it could be the same person. You get to decide. We're not here to dictate. Here's the first story. It's Sophia's Guest by Becky Brooks. Once upon a time, there was a teacher named Sophia. Sophia had been a teacher in a town where she lived for so long that the kids she first had in her class grew up and had kids of their own and sent them to her class. Nearly everyone in town knew Sophia and loved her, not just because she was an excellent teacher, but because she was so very kind. One day, Sophia got to work. She found a note on her desk. The note read, "Dear Sophia, I will be around tomorrow. I wonder if I might stop by your house for tea in the afternoon. Your friend, God." At first, Sophia thought it was a joke. But the more she thought about it, the more she realized that if this was a joke, it wasn't a very funny joke. And she couldn't think of anyone who would play a joke on her like that. Then she thought, what if it wasn't a joke? What if God really was going to come to her house tomorrow afternoon? Sophia thought she should get ready just in case, right? You would too. On her way home from work, she stopped by the store and bought one of those mats people put on their porch that says in big letters, "Welcome." When she got home, she cleaned the house from top to bottom. She brought in fresh flowers from the garden and put them in the vase in the living room. She cleaned and cleaned and cleaned until everything was sparkly. In the morning, Sophia realized she didn't know what God liked to eat. So she baked bread and made a casserole and fruit salad and baked some cookies too. And what about the tea? Does God like hot tea or iced tea? Well, I better make both. What if God's favorite thing in the whole world was lemonade? She thought she should make some of that too. She was so nervous, wouldn't you be? She didn't know what to expect. Just then, there was a knock at the door. Sophia's heart went pat, pat, pat. She took a big breath, opened the door slowly, and on the other side was the mayor of the town. "Hello, Sophia. I was walking by and smelled the delicious, fresh baked bread." Sophia said, "Oh, I'm so glad you're here. Come in, come in. I'm expecting a very important visitor who you might want to meet. Please come in and make yourself at home." So Sophia and the mayor sat having a nice discussion when there was another knock at the door. Sophia's heart went pat, pat, pat. She took a deep breath, opened the door slowly, and on the other side was a group of children from her class. "Hello, Miss Sophia. We were walking by and noticed the smell of fresh baked cookies." Sophia said, "Oh, I'm so glad you're here. Come in, come in. I'm expecting a very important person who you might want to meet. Please come in and help yourself to some cookies." The children were giving the mayor some much-needed advice when there was another knock at the door. Sophia's heart went pat, pat, pat. Deep breath, open door. It was the entire women's group from the church. "Hello, Sophia. We heard the tea kettle and the laughter and thought you might be having a party. We invited ourselves." Sophia said, "Oh, I'm so glad you're here. Come in, come in. I'm expecting a very important visitor, and you might want to meet them. Please come in and make yourself at home." All afternoon, people stopped by Sophia's house, lured by the yummy smells and the happy sounds. The townspeople filled her house, upstairs and downstairs, and overflowed into the backyard and the front yard. As they got hungry, they made dinner together and ate as the sun set and the moon rose. It was a great party. People were playing games and telling stories and baking and playing music and talking together. Sophia had such a nice time that she completely forgot about her very important guest. Even as she waved goodbye to her friends at the end of the night, she felt only contentment at having such a lovely party. In the morning, though, Sophia woke up and remembered everything. Dazed and confused, whatever had happened to God? All during her walk to work, she tried to figure out what had happened. Along the way, she smiled and waved at the people she ran into who had been at the party. She thought to herself that she really should do that again sometime soon. And when Sophia arrived at work, she was surprised to find another note on her desk. It read, "Dear Sophia, I had such a wonderful time yesterday. The bread was delicious. The cookies were divine. Tea mixed with lemonade is my favorite. Thank you for being such a wonderful host. I hope we can do it again soon. Love, God." So the question I invite you to ponder after about 30 seconds for the introverts among us to think about the question: what is God in this story? You might have different answers, and that is perfectly okay. What is God in this story? Give yourselves a few questions and then turn to a neighbor who you want to chat about that with.
May I have your attention, please? If you can hear my voice, snap once. If you can't snap, then hello. May we sing our way out of this. Gathered here, you'll get more chances to talk later, I believe. Gathered here in the mystery of the hour, 389 of the gray hymnals, if you have a hymnal near. Words will be behind me on the screen. We'll sing it once through in unison all together, and then we'll sing it twice in a round. Those of you closest to 22nd Street will follow the woman in red, Celeste, and those furthest away from 22nd will follow Wendy, and we'll do it in two parts. So unison, and then as a round twice. I'll sing the unison part, and then I'll back away from the mic for the round. Ready? gathered here in the mystery of the hour, gathered here in one strong body, gathered here in the struggle and the power. Spirit, draw near.
And now is the time that we take a moment to recognize the joys and the sorrows that we have as a congregation. The line we start with is that our earth is strong. I think of the concept of Pachamama, of Mother Earth, and how she is wide and big with loving arms, representing the growth in soil. She can hold our pain, our joy, our love, our anger, embrace it, transform it into fertilizer to make something wonderful grow. Our shared bowl, which we use for joys and sorrows every week, it's strong enough to hold the big rocks. Those represent our collective joys, our collective sorrows, and our mournings. And the smaller stones that will be added to signify our individual joys and sorrows. On a personal note, gosh, it's my favorite time of year to be in Tucson. The gem show, all the people coming around the world with their cool fossils and rocks, and the Renaissance fair, and the weather, bicycling. But my heart notices that it's a little warmer than it really should be right now. My heart hurts for the corruption of our government, for the people dying. It is a conflicted feeling this year, friends. So if you're there, know that I'm there with you. In this time of reflection and contemplation, let us remember the desert people that came to this place before us. Let us remember those crossing the desert now, those searching for freedom and a new life here. Those walking through the desert right now don't always have access to water like we have here in this bowl. They're seeking greater justice. We pour water with this plastic jug, similar to the ones used by our ministry partner, No More Deaths. And if you have a joy or sorrow, I invite you to go to menti.com and put in the code if you'd like to share it on the collective level. Jamili is here today with her handheld computer for those of you that would like to come here and type it in so it will be read out loud for all. If you're here in person, I invite you to also come to the table. We have 2 areas for lines. One person can come up on each side of the table at a time. The ripples you create with the stones that you choose, those represent joy, hope for a better tomorrow.
blessing, there is God. Where there is God, there is no need. Where there is faith, there is love. Where there is love, there is peace. Where there is peace, there is blessing. Where there is blessing, there is God. Where there is God, there is no need. Where there is faith, there is Watercolor will add a handful more stones to our bowl for all those joys and sorrows that are unrepresented yet. A few handfuls this week. Thank you. I will read our many joys and sorrows before our prayer. A friend among us is worried about their mom. She is not doing well as she should. Hope she gets better soon. Prayers winging to you and her friend. Joy and so many thanks to everyone who helped support the auction last night. Yes, it was fun and wild. Our children and you are doing such amazing things. They give me hope for a safe, secure world. Oh, yes. Grateful for all who supported the church last night through the auction, and joy and thanks for this community, a refuge in this tumultuous time. May it be for more. Hope. Thank you for bringing that in, friend. Hope. My heart is full of the love of my partners this Valentine's weekend and breaking daily for all of our suffering. Yes, yes, yes. Can we get a scroll, please? Thank you. Ooh. Yesterday, a young trans man was killed in upstate New York after being held and tortured for a month. As a transgender person, that hurts deeply. It hurts all of us. I feel it. I am waiting to find out if I am pregnant this week. Fingers crossed that I am. We're crossing all our digits, friends, not just our fingers. joy to experience our annual service auction last night. So many people came together to share their time, effort, and resources towards a common goal, supporting this congregation. Thank you all. Thank you, thank you. Yes, the auction was a blast. Thank you for being a member for a full year. Thank you for welcoming me. Of course, friend, every time. I'm working on launching a new business over the next few months, and I'm working on my business proposal to apply for startup grants. Good vibes for success would be appreciated. Consider them sent, your friend. One day at a time leads to a lot of good days. Yes, it does. Oh, I love that. Music all over the world. Ooh. I invite you into time of prayer, contemplation, meditation, whatever that looks like and feels like in your own body. You get to decide. And can we just sit here for a minute, Holy One? Because some of us are carrying some pretty heavy stuff. We could all use a moment of peace, to count our breath, to quiet the noise, to let our spirits be still. Perhaps as we sit, some of us will count our blessings, to name them out loud or silently, one by one. When all we have left in us is a moment of silence, help us trust that it is enough. You'll take care of the rest. Amen.
I have another story for us. This one is a trickster story. Tricksters are the characters that try to undermine divinity or God, right? They play jokes. They make us laugh. This trickster is Anansi the spider. Anansi comes out of West African Akan folklore and has spread across the continent and from that continent to the United States via the transatlantic slave trade. So we have trickster gods here and trickster spiders here. The story starts once upon a time. Anansi the spider loves to spin a tale. He can regale you for hours with stories full of wonder, stories full of fun, stories full of facts, too. Because he is so nosy, Anansi knows almost everything about almost everybody. Almost. But Anansi wants to know everything, of course, because Anansi is the trickster. So one day he goes to the house of the sun god. "Oh, mighty sun god," Anansi says, "you see everything and everyone. Won't you share your great wisdom with me? I promise, I will use it wisely to spin tales of wonder and fun for everyone." Do we believe in Anansi? You are very wise not to believe in Anansi at this point. But the sun god does, and the sun god says, "Anansi, I will put the wisdom in the world in this clay pot, but you must share this wisdom with everyone." Now, do we think Anansi's going to do this? You are very wise. Anansi, however, promises, "I promise to do so." So Anansi takes the pot home. He looks deep into the clay pot, and sure enough, he sees sights he has never seen before. He hears sounds he did not know existed. And Anansi thinks to himself, "This is too good to give away. I will keep this great wisdom for myself. I must hide it," he says. And he looks around for a good hiding place. Now, if you were Anansi and you wanted to hide a pot of wisdom, where would you put it? Where would you hide it? You would bury it. In a cave. Underwater. In plain sight. In the kitchen. Oh, with the other pots in the kitchen. Very logical. And Nancy says, I will put it up in the tallest tree, and no one will find it up there. So he starts climbing the tree, holding the pot in front of him, but Nancy, the spider, even with his 8 legs, finds it very, very difficult to both climb a tree and hold onto a pot at the same time. So Nancy's youngest daughter sees what Nancy is doing and probably knows her father fairly well and says, Father, why don't you tie the pot to your back, and that way you have all 8 of your feet to climb up the tree. And Nancy says to themselves, now what do you think Nancy says? Does Nancy take this advice good-heartedly? No. And Nancy gets angry, and Nancy says, she is right. That would be easier. Why is it that some young whippersnapper thinks of this when I, who possesses all of the wisdom of the world, did not? And Nancy gets so angry, what do you think he does? Not just drops the pot, he throws the pot in vitriol, in anger, down on the ground, and the wisdom spills out into the world. It flows out of the pot. And some flows here, and some flows there, and some flows over there. No one gets all of the wisdom, but everyone gets some of the wisdom. That is why even today, wisdom is everywhere. If you listen to the stories spun from all of us, each of us storytellers, you will hear it. So now we're going to give you a few minutes to answer to the question, who is God in this story? Think about that. Turn to a neighbor. Talk amongst yourselves. Who is God in this story?
Why do Unitarian Universalists slow down hymns when they sing? Why do Unitarian Universalists slow down hymns when they sing?
Why?
Because they read ahead to see if they believe the next word that they're about to sing. So don't slow down this next hymn. Regardless, let's see what happens. Rise as you are able. Please join in singing 288, All Our Architects, words by Longfellow, the poet. A tune that you'll catch pretty easily by the second verse, so believe it or not. Here we go. All our architects of fate working in these walls of time, some with massive deeds and great, some with ornaments of rhyme. For the structure that we raise, time boxes with materials filled. Our todays and yesterdays are the blocks with which we build. Build today then strong and sure, with a firm and ample base, and ascending and secure, shall tomorrow find its place. Please be seated.
However you participated today in our congregation, in our service, our congregation depends on you for your love, your time, your financial support. For those of you here in person, the ushers will soon be passing the collection plate out amongst you. For those of you watching at home, you can send your check to our church or give online at uuctucson.org/donate. We should not allow the offering that we take each Sunday to become a stale habit. Please remember that this is an opportunity to recommit a part of your financial wealth to this place and to this congregation. As the offering is collected, the announcements about upcoming events will appear on the screen, and an additional announcement that while today is not a formal lunch, it is an enhanced leftover snack hour from last night's festivities, the auction. And because of that, if you donate extra well, we want to let you know that those monies will go also in the auction funds from last night. So we do really appreciate a little extra enhanced gratuity in that bowl on the lunch counter. Thank you.
As you see, we've got lots going on. Good morning. My name is Janet Moore, and I'm on your Board of Trustees. I am the VP of Finance and want to invite everyone to social hour after the service in Goddard, which is out the double doors behind you and to your left. And as you've heard, there will be enhanced chow, and there's beverages, there's good company, which is best of all. And we've mentioned chipping in a little more as you're able. If you are new and want to stay in touch with us, you can fill out a guest information card in the Welcome Center in Goddard Hall. You can also find a virtual guest information card in the newcomer section of our website. And seasonal members and friends, the T-Birds, host a noon potluck this Wednesday at noon. Folks are invited to bring a dish to share, plus their own dishware, utensils, and beverages. All are welcome to that. Our wonderful treasurer, Linda French, has retired, so we are looking for another wonderful person to fill that role. And you can see me or Frank Valdez for details on that. And the auction. Yay! It was a great time. And there are still items and experiences to bid on. And we have many thanks to give, and I probably won't remember everyone. Barb and Julie organized us. Auctioneers, Wendy and Robert. The kitchen staff, Cassandra, who entertained us. Bob and Steve, who kept us organized and recorded bids. And people who donated, people who bought. It was all great. So many thanks to them. And I will be in Goddard after the service for any questions or feedback for your board.
We've got one final story for you today. This is the story of Ganesha. There are many stories of Ganesha. For those of you who are not familiar, Ganesha is the elephant-headed son of Shiva and Parvati. These are Hindu gods. The child of Parvati and Shiva is a very special place to be. Often people think Ganesha is representative of new beginnings. Parvati is an earth goddess figure. She is a Mother Earth that comes from the mountains, and symbolic of that. While Shiva is mostly noted as a god of destruction. Destruction for new beginnings, because that is important. This is the story of Cat, the cat, and it's by Uma Krishnaswamy. It comes from the Broken Tusk stories. So, when Ganesha was a small child, he often amused himself by playing on the slopes of Mount Kailasa. Sometimes he would invent games, pretending he was a great warrior king, fighting and vanquishing, destroying. One day he tired of his games and told us what all our children say sometimes. Coming to Parvati, Mom, I have nothing to do. Parvati looked surprised. Nothing to do? With the mountains as your playground, my son? When my spirit is unsettled or when my soul needs new vision, I sometimes go where the wild creatures go and see the world through their eyes. I'll go out now, decided Ganesha. But he didn't want to see things through someone else's eyes. He wanted to go hunting. And so he set forth, prowling about. He looked around outside the hut, around the corners. He picked up a stout stick in a large, flat rock. It had sharp edges. He tied the two together with a length of vine, making quite the little axe to brandish. He ran off, leaping down mountain trails, wild, shouting in glee, "I am the greatest hunter of all wild animals! Run for your life!" Ganesha stopped, and he looked about himself, looking for his prey. "But what shall I hunt?" he said. "I need an animal to hunt." And suddenly a cat darted out from behind a rock. It ran off down the trail. "Aha!" cried Ganesha. "I'm going to pretend you, cat, are a tiger, and I'm going to hunt you." And he raced off after that poor cat. The cat ran. It ran down the mountain, mewing with fright, fear. But Ganesha was too caught up with his game to notice that fear. He had convinced himself that this was a ferocious tiger, and he was determined to hunt it down. When he caught up with that cat, as he was the child of gods and he could move very quickly, even quicker than a cat, he grabbed her by the tail. He pinned her to the ground. "Now I've got you, you evil tiger." The poor cat was too afraid to do anything but lie very still. Could not even meow. It was so terrified. She shivered, she quaked, and all of a sudden, Ganesha noticed that his fearsome prey appeared to completely have surrendered. It was no longer fun. Sulkily, he let go of the cat's tail and ran off as fast as he could. "That was no fun at all," muttered Ganesha as he picked himself up and went back home. When he got there, he was surprised to find Mother there. Parvati was there. She was covered with scratches and bruises, as if the rocks and boulders had cut her skin, and thorns had pierced her cheeks. "Amma, what happened to you?" Ganesha asked his earth mother, forgetting the disappointment in his hunt. "You did this to me, child," said Parvati to Ganesha. "Don't you remember?" "I did?" He was horrified. "No, I didn't. I would never hurt you like that." Parvati said, "Think back. Did you hurt a living creature only a little while ago?" Ganesha was about to deny this terrible thing. Completely wrong accusation. But then he remembered that cat. He looked at the ground with shame. He hung his head lower and lower until his big elephant ears drooped down to the earth, his chin on his chest. Ganesha hugged his mother sadly. "Forgive me, my mother," he said. "I did not mean to hurt you." "Ah," said Parvati, "but did you mean to hurt that cat?" "No," said Ganesha. "Yes. I mean, no. I didn't. It was only a game." "For you, perhaps," said Parvati. "But as you can tell, it was no game to me. Take care that in your play you do not injure others or cause grief and fear." "Yes, Amma," promised Ganesha. After that, he took special care to be gentle to the wild creatures of the forest and streams, as you must too. for any of them could be Parvati in disguise. So we ask the question again, where is God in this story? Where is your God in this story? Think about that for a moment. Then turn to a neighbor or two neighbors. Offer your answer. Exchange them with theirs.
It's a good story. May I have your attention, please? So this next song is one that if you went to GA, I think about a decade or so ago, it was used there. It's a song that's will be new to many of you. So I asked if I could teach it just to make sure. It's a simple song. Top three lines repeat, same melody, and then there's a slight change to the bottom. And then the choir, so you guys are going to be the cake, the choir is going to be the icing. They're going to sort of give us a little bit of a grounding for this as we go. So here's how it goes. It goes, I'm going to sing you a line and you sing it right back. Love one another. And then that same melody repeats, serve one another, honor one another. And then this is the line that changes. As equals hand in hand is the first time. So try that one. As equals hand in hand. And then the next time is, that's how we understand. Try that one. That's how we understand. Good. So we're going to start, the choir, is going to start. And in a minute, I'm going to start singing this melody, and I ask you to join me. Let's try. So, sorry. But did we just change key? Bum, bum, bum. Hey, it's close. Good. So, love. Sorry. Let us love. Sorry. 1, 2, ready, and let us love. Sorry, give us a help. Start the basses. This is the basses on the first page. Ready, do that. Ready, 1, 2, ready, go. Sorry, it's a pickup. I forgot. I'm not looking at the music, and I don't know it well enough. I apologize. 1, 2, start. Let us love. Let us honor. Love one another, serve one another, honor one another, as equals hand in hand. Love one another, serve one another, honor one another, that's how we understand. Love one another, serve one another, honor one another, as equals hand in hand. Love one another, serve one another, honor one another, that's how we understand.
Honor one another as equals hand in hand. Love one another serve one another, honor one another. That's how we understand. Love one another, serve one another, honor one another as equals hand in hand. Love one another, serve one another, honor one another. That's how we understand.
Thank you.
Will you please now join me in saying our chalice extinguishing words? They're by the Reverend Andrew Pacola. Pack away a piece of this church in your heart. Wrap it carefully like a precious gem. Carry it with you through the joys and sorrows of your day. Let its gentle glow strengthen you, warm you, remind you of all that is good and true until you gather here in this place of love.